So, welcome to Monday Motivation. Before I start, I want to tell you all that I'm not a trained mental therapist or mental coach. What I'm going to talk about is just based on my own experiences. And I'm not following any science in this area or something like that. I want to show you how I got to build a solid foundation of happiness, because I am truly a very happy person. I'm almost happy all the time, but I have my days, I can assure you. But I'm going to tell you what worked for me, because I've been going through some hard times in my life, as many of you have done or maybe are going through right now. But so my target group is people like me, not people that have a diagnosis, have a mental or physical illness or disease. It's more like people that think that they have problems, and actually that doesn't have to be a problem, if you know what I mean. People that need a kick in the right direction or a kick in the butt. Okay, before I start, I think I need to tell you a bit about my life, what I've been going through. I had a happy childhood, and when I got up to my teens, I started to get body complex. I was chubby, I was ginger, I had glasses and big ears, and everything. I thought everything was wrong with me. And also, when I was 16 years old, I dieted for the first time. And that was just the beginning of decades of dieting. And also in the same period, in the same year, like 16 years old, my relation with my mother came into a very bad phase. I was, 16 years old. I was cutting the cord with my mother, as a normal teenager do, and she couldn't actually cope with that so good. So we had some rough years there. I stayed away from home, and just like a normal 16-year-old, and that made me feel very bad. I had got bad conscience because my mother didn't feel well about that. So it was a tough time. I had my first serious relation with a man when I was like 21 years old. And being 21, you don't actually know what's good for you. You don't know who you are. You don't know what works for you. So I started I shrunk myself, the meaning and importance of myself. And I have to tell you, I was not beaten or everything. It was just not the right relation for me. So I minimized myself until I was a small little dirt. Stupid. And like 5 years after I ended that relation, I found the love of my life and my prince. And we eventually got married, and we're still married. And I'm very happy. And the private part of my life finally got to a nice level and a sane. It worked fine. But I still was quite stupid when it came to work. I was working and thinking that I had to be the best all the time. I had to work most hours. I had to come up with so many great things, and I just felt that I couldn't cope it anymore. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was doing everything wrong, and it ended up with a big bang. I ran with my forehead into the famous brick wall, and I got a burnout in combination with a depression. And at this time, I was also pregnant with my youngest daughter. And I was feeling so sick and bad and depressed. And my doctor, he gave me a sick leave up until the day she was going to have a birthday, be born. And I spent most of the months up until her birth lying in the sofa, feeling depressed. I was crying for everything and anything and nothing. And a good day for me was when I could go out to get the post out of my mailbox, about 10 meters from the front door. And yeah, finally she was born, and I started to realize that, okay, this is more important than me lying in the sofa and crying all day long, taking care of her. And I also knew that now I have 1.5 years staying at home, because that's the parental leave we have in Sweden. I think it's even more nowadays. And I could relax. And then the time passed, and it was time to start working again. And I felt that I didn't want to go back to that place where I worked before. So I quit, and I decided to start to study economics in university. And at that time, our daughter was just beginning going to preschool, and she was starting to get sick. And we got her diagnosed after a while with celiac disease. And as soon as we got her on a gluten-free diet, she was much more energetic and happy and slept well. But her immune system was so damaged after 1.5 years of having gluten in her diet. So she had 7 ear infections the first year in preschool. And it was impossible for me to concentrate and focus on my studies. And I started to feeling like I was lousy, and I was a failure, and I was just crap because I couldn't make that. But somehow I skipped the studying economics, and I actually decided to fulfill a childhood dream, to become a reporter and a journalist. And so I did. I started to educate myself, and it was the most wonderful thing I haven't been doing. I love to write, and I love interviewing people and to learn about different things. And when I was finished with my studies, I decided that I was going to have my own company as a freelance reporter and journalist, because I thought that it would be better if I was my own boss, if no one else told me what to do. And yeah, and that was a really bad idea, because my self-confidence and it was just terrible for working as a freelance reporter, because I could have marvelous ideas, what I thought about different articles, and I emailed the different editors of different magazines my ideas. And if I was lucky to have an answer, it was a big no-no in 99% of all cases. And that is how it is. But I was so damaged in my confidence that I took it all very personally. And that is not a good thing to do when you are a freelance reporter, let me tell you, because it's a tough competition. So not a good thing. So I continued to work with this for like 6 or 7 years, and then I went into marketing again, and then worked a couple of years, and then I found low carb, high fat. And when I turned to that diet, it was like my soul came to rest, at least a part of it. And it's not so uncommon, because if you are used to put a lot of garbage into your body, crappy food with additives and things, and then you start giving it real food with good nutrition, and I started cooking my meals from start, instead of buying frozen foods and so. So of course something happened with all the chemical stuff in my body. And also a few years later, we decided to take a year off, me and my husband and our daughter. So we moved to Palma de Mallorca for a year to study English. And I also, during that year, studied to become a dietary advisor. And when I arrived to that small little apartment, and the only thing we brought with us from Sweden was our clothes. And after a few days, it was like, wow, this is so amazing. I feel like a queen. I was sitting in the tiniest little apartment, and no garden, and no nothing like that, and just enjoying life at the fullest, because I felt so relaxed. And it wasn't until we moved back to Sweden after a year that I came to realize that what actually happened to me was that I haven't noticed that I came to realize that all the things that made me have a lot of anxiety, and that I was so stressed, and that I was feeling like depressed and everything, it was due to all the demands I had felt that I had around me. But the realization I came to was that no one had told me that I had to go up to do my work in Saturdays and Sundays. No one had told me that I had to have a super neat home and a perfect garden. It was all from me. It came from myself. And when I came to that sort of insight about myself, it wasn't like an epiphany. And I would call it like I came to accept who I am and what I've been through, all the good things and the bad things. And since I don't want anything in my life to be wasted, nothing should be waste of time, I started to see all things I've been through as something that had taken me to where I was at the present time. So in that case, that made all the bad things like I had some use of them, sort of. And I think that if you want to make a change in your life, it's very important that you first of all accept who you are, what you've been through, what you've gone through, and stupid things you've done and good things you've done, before you can, for example, you several times decided that you want to lose like 20 kilos. You want to start dieting, and you fail and you fail and you fail. And it isn't until you truly accept who you are that you sort of get to like yourself and feel that you're actually worth being taken care of, and you're worth losing those kilos. You're worth starting to, if you decide to train for maybe 4 or 5 times a week. And I think that just that acceptance is crucial to be able to make all those things. And another thing I've accepted, and that has helped me a lot, is that everything that happens to you, it is life. It's not a secret conspiracy whose goal is to make your life a disaster. And to be frank, sometimes shit happens. and there are different levels of that, but normal shit, okay? And it's up to you to decide how to react to those things. And as I said, by accepting them and accepting yourself as you are, you have an easier way up from that point. And I can tell you, I have bad days. I am a very happy person, but I have bad days. But the thing is that I don't allow myself to hit the ground. I have trained myself to, when I feel in despair, I try to kick my butt and tell me to get a grip of yourself and try to do something about it, or just accept it. But don't stay down there, because it won't help anyone, at least me and myself. So that was the first episode of Monday Motivation. I don't know what you think about this. I would love to hear if this is something you find interesting or useful, or if you have any questions, or asking, are you effing stupid? What are you saying? Please leave a comment, or write me an email at bitte@thelowcarbuniverse.com, and I will try to explain and give you an answer. So yeah, that's all for tonight. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a lovely Monday evening. Oh, and remember, tomorrow is the last day to buy a ticket to Kitty Ladies. Don't forget that. Go and do that now, right away. Okay, bye-bye.